Hello there. I've got some spring home decor using the new IOD spring release. I can't wait to share it with you. I'm Whitney with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnots, and let's jump into the crafter. First project here, I've got this wonderful, thick, good heavy wood sign. It's tag-shaped little sign I got. Look how thick this is. So thick and nice and pretty. It's a good weight too. Not too heavy, but it's solid. I got it at Hobby Lobby on clearance a while back for $3.74. Now you can't be mad at that. I love that because you're not going to get anything this quality for $1.25. So it's going to be made over here. I'm going to use some folk art black chalk paint. I'm just putting the paint over the lettering here. I am not concentrating on getting full coverage. I'm just concentrating on trying to cover up the white lettering because we're going to put so much beautiful crafting spring happy goodness all over this that you're not going to see it. And it's also got a texture to it and a distress to it already, and I want to try to keep some of that. But then, you know, in hindsight, looking back at what she looks like when she's done, it doesn't matter because I end up covering up most of it anyways. That's usually how projects go. So here's a pretty much end result here. The front's pretty much dry, and you can kind of see that you can't see those letters through it. So now we have a new stamp that's called Pastiche from Iron Orchids. It's part of their new 2024 spring release. I love this entire stamp set. You will see me use this in so many different projects. They've got cloches and eggs and some florals and bird cages and birds and some botanicals and some books. It is a absolute perfect stamp set. Can't wait to use it. So for this pretty girl here, we're just going to use the largest of the bird cages. As soon as I saw that on their release when they were showing the final, you know, absolutely they were releasing the release, I couldn't help but wait. Now, I want to show you here. I wanted to use white, so I'm going to show you this is a fail. I used the paint, and it doesn't matter what paint you're using because I basically used a little bit too much and I pushed a little bit too hard, so it's very splotchy. Now this was DIY paint, so it's clay based, so I was able just to wipe it back off. Now I took a little bit of the black paint off, but that's not a problem. What I did here is I'm going to clean off my stamp, and I did not decide to go the paint route. I do have white stamping ink. It's just sometimes it doesn't show up as brightly or as vibrant as I want it to. It is a Tim Holtz distressed ink. It's called Picket Fence. It's a white ink. It is a good ink. Don't get me wrong. I like using it, and I ended up using it for our actual end project. But you'll see here is I messed up this go round also, but you'll see exactly one more time how I fix it. It's crooked. And I stared at it for a while thinking I would be okay with it, but I knew it's like, Whitney, if you don't fix this right now, you are going to be so mad. So took it off. All I did was just wipe it off with some water. And then I used some more water and I had to put a little bit more black paint over it. So now we're going to try. This is round 3. And I made sure I had it lined up right. This is perfect. And look how detailed it is. Now again, probably had no problem with that white, the distressed ink that I used. It just kind of turned a little bit too, maybe a little bit opaque more than I wanted it to. I wanted it to be a crisp white. So going forward, maybe I needed to just kind of calm down with the paint because you can use paint on stamps. You just have to make sure you're applying a decent amount and not pushing too hard. But in any event, I wanted to show you the process. So this is the third try on the same piece. And then I distressed the edges. Now look at this. I got a new set of goodies. This is Moss Effect and Grass Effect paste that I got from Lori at miltonsdaughter.com. This is a paste that you place on your project and then you apply heat to it and it puffs up and it turns into a solid that basically it's not coming off, but it looks like moss. It looks like a 3D affected type moss. It looks so realistic and so pretty, and I love it. And it is on every single project in this video, just so you know. So when I find something I like, I just kind of do it on everything. So it's like, oh, it's kind of like if you find a shirt or a pair of pants that you really, really like, so you buy it in every single color that's available. Yeah, I do that. I'm guilty of it. So this is my first try at it. I did not put enough on, but I'm trying to show you here close up. Now, as you apply heat to it, it puffs up and it becomes a solid. Now, you can barely see it on this. Now, again, I said I use it on every project. You will see a better example of this on the next 2 DIYs going forward. You'll see throughout the video here, I will stop it, slow it down, and show you as I heat different parts of different projects up. You'll see this is not enough paste. I was my first run, and I shouldn't have tried it on such a permanent project, but I did add more later. And as I speed through the rest of some of this and the part, the parts that we just can't stand, you can see you see how it's kind of poofing up there? See a little bit there? That's after applying a decent amount of heat. That's real time. It gets puffy. Now that's just a small amount. The more paste you use, the thicker it gets, the better it is. Now I'm putting the two moss colors in to layer the colors of moss. And then that bright green is a grass effect, it's called. And it is a very crisp, like Kelly grass green color. And I think mixing the three together makes it look even more realistic. It gives you all those different colors of depth. And again, you can see that it's hardening and, it's becoming raised. I say it's puffing up. And then when you touch it here, it's solid. It won't come off. It is hardened. It won't scratch off. It's a permanent thing. You don't need to seal it. And it's perfect. I love it. And again, I used it on every single project. Because I'm in love with it. So you guys might see a lot more of this. I mean, I have these three little things here. Even if you really apply that on there, I mean, if you go really heavy handed with it, you're not going to run through that much of it. So it's a decent amount of product. And I loved it. So you can see here, I'm adding more because I'm thinking, okay, Whitney, it's time to layer it up. When we go to the next couple projects, you'll see I will just get pretty thick with it in the beginning. Now I'm using a stencil brush. You can put this on with your fingers, and at the very end, I end up kind of dabbing it on with my fingers. You could put it on with, spackle knives or, clay knives or any kind of putty knife or any other type of apparatus. But basically, I was using a stencil brush because it was good to stipple it and make it look a little bit thicker. But you see how this piece raised up right here on the edge? And then you see how these little guys here? When you're watching it yourself, again, I couldn't get a decent camera angle, but when you're watching it happen, it's kind of fun. It's almost addicting. So there I've mossed out the whole project, and I'm loving how the board looks. Now I'm going to take this little hydrangea flower. I got this in a bundle from Amazon. That's also listed in my description in my link below. I have an Amazon store there. And then also these eucalyptus here, also from Amazon. And I got some stems of lamb's ear from Amazon also, all three Amazon. And then also another Amazon. I've got a 4-pack of these ribbons a while back here, and you got black and white and then also gray and white. So you get a grain sack stripe and then also a buffalo check. And for this one, I wanted to stick with some gray and white, or gray and creamish, whitish, creamish, who knows, argumentative. And all I'm doing is just going to do a very rough bow. So I'm just kind of making a loop with like an awareness ribbon shaped loop, and I'm going to pinch it in the middle, and then I'm going to secure it in the middle with some jute twine. Now, I'm just laying things out. I knew that I wanted the florals in the bow to kind of cascade from the top down to the left, and with my staple gun and now the world's cutest little mini hammer, as you could see there, I'm going to use a combination of hot glue and staples, because this is a nice thick wood project, in order to secure these on. There's no need for styrofoam because we're kind of just adding to the bow here. So you'll see me put staples in periodically, but I'm also using hot glue. And then from there, it's just basically kind of layering this all out in the shape that I want, and basically adding things to the bow to make the bow the main event, or at least the main feature. And then you'll see all I'm doing is cutting pieces of eucalyptus. I took the hydrangea bush and I cut it into as many pieces as you can. I mean, one or two of them I left in kind of larger chunks, but then after that, I cut that hydrangea bundle. That's not a bundle, it was the bud. It was one hydrangea head, one flower head. I cut that into all those little mini pieces and just kind of layered it throughout, because I didn't want it to be one huge feature. That bud would have been too big for this project. It would have overpowered the bow. And trust me, I looked at it, I tried. It didn't work. So after laying those two together, now I'm just going to cut leaves off of our pretty little lamb's ear bush, and I'm going to layer these in too as well. And as far as the layering goes, I mean, I didn't add anything else, any more greenery other than this, but this is just a little bit of, different texture in there, a little bit of different green. And then now the best part, look how pretty. I mean, it's pretty as it is. You can leave it this way if you want, if you don't want to get too messy or fuzzy. But yes, I also did want to say I added some more of the moss paste. But looks good right here. You could stop and then also shake it, because I like that movement. Look how pretty she is. Now, I'm going to add feathers because it's a bird cage and I have feathers. And I honestly couldn't tell you where I got these. I think these two here in the packages with the whites on the top, I think these are from Hobby Lobby, but I have no recollection of where I got these. And I know these I end up using both of these feathers here. Now, these two little packs here may have come from either Craft Outlet or Paper Mart. I'm not absolutely sure. But again, all of these feathers I've had in my stash for so many years that I have literally lost all recognition of where I got them, because feathers usually are pretty expensive and I don't buy them. But for this instance, I wanted to use these little speckly ones because I thought they were cute. Have no clue what type of bird they go to. Watch it be some sort of like massive turkey or something that would not fit in a cage that size, but honestly, who cares? It's a feather. It's a theme. I grabbed some feathers. I was happy that I even had them and that I found them. It's like, you know what? I think I have feathers and I think I know where they are. So it was a happy day because I was right. And I was right where they were, where I thought they would be, if that made sense. I was right where they were, where I thought they would be. They were right where they were because I thought they would be there. They were, yeah, the words putting into sentence making. You guys get me, right? They were where they were, I thought they were. Anyways, moving on. So I just took these and I layered them. Now these longer ones, I did cut them off because they were a little bit too long. I cut them off in different pieces because we're tucking them into the arrangement. You're going to tuck them into your leaves and your florals and your ribbon. So you're not going to see the end cut pieces. So it's just like layering, you know, the greenery and the florals together. You're going to cut pieces, you're going to layer them, and they're all going to just kind of they're going to complement each other. So this is it. I love the last little bit of feathers on there. Now, the little tiny feathers got a little messy, but all I did was just put everything in with hot glue. Everything in with hot glue. Feathers are a pretty thin, lightweight material, and hot glue responds to them well. So all of that stuff is solid and none of it's coming out. And look how pretty she is. I love this bird cage. This stamp inspired me. The second that I saw it on the IOD Sisters YouTube live, they were doing a live the day of the release, I knew that I wanted this stamp and I was going to use feathers in some sort of point. Now I knew I have another one of these because I bought 2 of these Hobby Lobby clearance tags. So I was like, I'm using clearance tag, I'm going to use that stamp, and I'm going to use a white ink, and I have some feathers. The rest of it kind of came together after that. And also, I had no clue I was going to have any of that moss paste, but take a look at it. It is so much fun to use. Now, our second DIY. This is a little sign that I have had from Big Lots for many years. Apparently, I paid $5 for it. Now, it was so long ago that what's the depreciation value? Because it's like, who knows how much it really did cost me. I did not get it on clearance. So, in any event, I'm going to use this as our stand-up today. It's a decent thickness. It's also got some weight to it. So I'm just going to take some white chalk paint and I'm going to layer this in a couple coats. All I'm doing is just making sure that we can get enough of the coverage so you can't see the stuff behind it. We're going to cover this with one of the new rub-on transfers from IOD, Iron Orchid. It's called Collage des Fleurs. Des Fleurs? Yeah, I'm putting a little bit too much of the Muppet Swedish Chef on that last word there, fleurs. But it's a collage of flowers. Look how pretty it is. The buds in this, the details in this, the colors, gorgeous. I love flowers, but you guys know that. I can't not love flowers. I mean, even like dandelions and like things that you're supposed to take out of your yard that people consider weeds. Yeah, I love them all. I think they're all pretty. I think they're all, what if it's got a little flower on it? I love it. Now, I chose this large bud because it's pretty. And it's kind of like got a little peachy pinky set to it. I was looking for something else to add to it here, but then I decided, nope, this one's not. We're going to make her the main event anyways. So all I did was just take it off. I'm going to apply it. With IOD transfers and pretty much any transfer, you're going to use the stylus or some sort of rubbing tool that they give you or you have, and then rub this all down. Then once you get the plastic sheet off, you're going to use that and rub that all over the piece. That's called burnishing. Just make sure, that just ensures that you have a proper coverage. Now, do you guys remember these pretty little girls from last year, or was it year before? Last year, when they hit Hobby Lobby, when they hit Dollar Tree, everybody kind of went nuts, including myself. I may have bought way more than any normal sane person should have, but I don't think I'm alone with that. So this is just one little brown one that I had left over from another project I did, and I decided to start doing some. Now I burnt my finger so bad right there, but you can't tell because I sped that up, but I'm just going to tell on myself so you know. So I cut diagonally off the back because I didn't want to cut it in half. I wanted it to have a different type of depth so it does look 3D. And then the piece that I cut off of the bottom, I'm put that off to the side because we're going to use that to add florals and other little goodies into. And now We're back to our moss effect and grass effect pastes. And this time you will see I definitely went in at it. And I also did the edges, the tops and the sides of the little piece here. And then I added a lot of decent thickness to this paste. Now, again, I'm trying to show you here, maybe I should have slowed this down even more. I'm trying to show you here that once it looks wet here, you can tell that with the stippling brush how wet it is. But then once it actually starts to get hardened and you see the effect actually happening with the heat, you will see and you can absolutely tell that it is done and you do not need to add any more heat to it. And she is ready to go. But I may not have been able to execute that as much as I wanted to show you how wonderful it is. It's easy to use and it's just fun. Like I started looking for things to just add moss to. It's like walking through my house. It's like, I should take that off the wall. I could put moss on it. I'm like in my kitchen. I'm like, is that weird if I wanted to put moss on this and then put it back in my kitchen? Went out in my garage. I was like, Whitney, stop. You have a problem. Now, this is a little foam person. This little foam guy here. The foam items here, got to be careful. I did start to melt the foam. So I was trying to see just how close I needed to keep the heat gun away, but then also still make the moss hardened. Probably not the best idea. I probably should have used maybe a Spanish moss, but I didn't want to mix different mediums. I wanted to just use this paste. So I think by the end of this, it still turns out great. I still like it. I'm able to cover up a lot of the oopsies or some of the issues with the foam itself. But yeah, foam does not respond well to heat and or spray paint and or many other things that we all know about in our crafting adventures. So, be careful. Just take a look and just be mindful as you're making your project. Now, I'm going to cut off some greenery goodies from a little bundle that I've had in my stash for some time. And I'm going to periodically just layer these items in here. I wasn't going with any of the colors in that bush there that you can see off to the right. I was just taking the creams and the greens, and we're just going to try to make some cute little botanical garden theme thing here because our flower rub-on transfer is our main event. So this was just to accentuate that, just to add more florals, add more greens, and then also I have a cute little surprise in a second. You've seen them in many Dollar Tree hauls, but we've got some little mini mushrooms that are just so cute. So again, as you can see, I'm using that extra piece of foam that we cut off to the side. We're gonna stab all this stuff in there. So look, here's a little mini foam mushrooms. These came out with the spring stuff this year, and I couldn't say no. So I got 2 bundles. Now this is a little bit too much of a brighter pink, but we're gonna dull it down with some more of that paste, the moss paste. But I just started to cut them and layer them into the foam. And I'm just making like a cute little bundle, like a little grouping, little bundle of little mushies, just to make things a little interesting. And I love how this turns out. I might have gone a little bit overboard with some of the paste and the darker color. And then I did at the end, you'll see, I'll show you, I'm trying to lighten it up with my finger and the lighter green paste. But you'll have to let me know your opinion and tell me what you think. I may have gone a little bit too dark on it. I also added the entire package of little mini mushrooms, and I'm just going to show you here. You'll see me going throughout the whole thing. Just layer, lots of hot glue. And some of these little mushrooms came off of their stems, which is not to be, unexpected from something from the Dollar Tree. It's not too bad. It's not like it's not like every single thing fell apart. I mean, sometimes I've had big fails with some of their florals, but these little foam mushies just were so absolutely cute. It didn't even upset me. So I'm just bundling them together, kind of making it look like the grouping grew naturally in nature on the side of a sign, on the side of a piece of wood sign. But I like the little grouping here. So now here I'm taking the paste, and I didn't know how far off to the side I would go with the arrangement. So I did have a lot of empty space down here. So I am going to add another little bit here. And this is real time. You'll see me dabbing on the darker color. And then I will add the lighter moss color. And then I only add very little small touches of that brighter green grass color. And you'll see this is real time of how I'm just kind of, there's no plan, there's no pattern, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just having fun. And then here I just start going a little bit dab crazy on the rest of it. Even the greenery and that little white flower, on all of it. I kind of just went nuts. Took it across the street, brought it back home. And then here I'm just taking the rest of the wet part, and I'm kind of using it like I would a paint and dry brushing it all over. And then I just kind of go crazy, and then I go over across the whole thing. Literally across the whole entire thing. Now, here's our end result. Might be a little bit too much. I'm not sure. I like the way it looks. Like when I had to come back to it a couple different times and look at the project after I'd finished it and walk past it and say, did I kind of go overboard or not? But for here, I was like, well, let me get some DIY of the dark wax out, which is my favorite. I love this wax, guys. The DIY waxes are like butter. Now, this one, you don't need very much. A little bit goes a long way. But again, I wanted to distress the rest of this, give it its nice little aged look, like it's been in a dark garden. Not a dark garden, but like, like in the corner of a garden, if that makes sense. But yeah, I couldn't say no to just doing the normal aging thing. And again, with more of the dark wax, I think the larger in it. That's a Freudian slip. That's my favorite, my pumpkins. It was a little bit too dark on the mushy. So you see me taking the lighter green here and I'm just dabbing it all over. I still think I may have went a little bit too overboard on the mushrooms themselves. Let me know your opinion. But at the same time, this is still a gorgeous piece and she still makes me so happy. So I got these leftover pieces here. Now we're going to use the backing of one of these 4x4 frames that I got at Dollar Tree. I had 4 or 5 of them I used on a previous project, but I saved the backings for this exact reason, because I wanted this to be a tabletop piece and I don't want to put Dollar Tree Jenga pieces on it, but this particular frame holds it right up. You just line up the bottom piece to the edge, the bottom edge of the actual product or project that you want to stand up. And it works exactly as it would as if it was a picture frame. So again, save those backings because they do come in handy many, many times. 9 times out of 10, you'll probably use them. I have 5 of them. So now I only have 4 left in my stash. So I'm glad I did that because I believe I got them from a project I did the year before last or last year. But in any event, what is a stash? What is a craft hoard without just, having one victory 2 years later of saying, yes, I used this. So glad I saved it for 2.5 years. But anyways, tell me what you think about this pretty girl. Do you think it was a little bit too much there? The mushrooms kind of Well, let me know your thoughts. I love this. I think she's so pretty. And now our last project. Excuse me, guys. Oh, I'm not cutting that out of this. It's just, this is real life, guys. Now, my last DIY, I did a little bit of a thing. I mixed some baking soda in with some paint, and I was looking for stuff. This is a recycled jar. It was either olives or like pepperoncinis or pepperoncini. How do you say it? Do you say pepperoncinis? Pepperoncinis? Or it wasn't wax peppers or banana peppers. I think it's pepperoncinis. Anyways, because that's really important to go over right now, right? I ended up putting a lot of the paint over it. I had a lot left over, and this was the end result. So this is all dry, and it gives a really nice stucco-y stone effect. So again, I did put way too much baking soda in the paint, but it worked out to my advantage. So now I'm going to distress this girl up with the dark wax again. I'm putting it kind of heavier in some spaces than others, but it blends very well. And now we're going right back to my most favorite thing in the world now, which is those moss and grass effect paints or pastes. Same thing. We're going to dab it on. We're going to heat it up, and you're going to see how it just kind of comes to life on the side of it. It really does look like the side of a house, like the stucco on your house or on a building or a wall. It looks perfect. And I just did this in, splotches randomly around this entire little piece. We are making a small little, basically we're making something that gives me an excuse to use this paste some more. But it's just a small little tabletop arrangement. It doesn't have to be a centerpiece. It's too small to be a centerpiece, but I had some florals. I had a jar left over, and I wanted to use some more of this paste. So you see how I'm showing you here, the heat really puffs it up, thickens it up, and you can see the 3D effect is just, it's just amazing to me. I love it so much. And again, that glass got so hot. So yeah, be careful when using heat guns, guys. You might not know it, but yeah, glass gets hot, so don't touch it. But look at that. Along with the wax distressing I put on there, I love it. It turns out great. So that's pretty much me just showing you how much fun it is. And so kind of go crazy on the rest of it. And then it's fun to use the colors. It's fun to just kind of, in any event, you're just kind of slopping it on there, but you're trying to do it in a way that it's planned, but you want it to be natural. So we'll call it planned natural. Naturally planned. Insert words, whatever applies to you here. Whatever lie you have to tell yourself, whatever works, it's fine. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Go through all those crafty dreams. And then again, I use the rest of the little bit of wet paste that's on the paint like it was a distressing paint on the stencil brush, and it gave a little bit of a green tint to the rest of it, and it dries just the rest of it. And it dries like the rest of it, like a paint would, but it doesn't puff up because it's too thin of a project. I just didn't want to, dry off or wash off the brush and waste it. So I used it kind of like you would a distressed paint, and just kind of put it all over the rest of the jar here. Got a piece of styrofoam, glued that down in there, and then now here, look at this bottle. I love this paste, guys. I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but I really like this paste. I love this moss stuff. I just didn't want to. I want to make sure you guys knew. Now I'm gonna take my tiny roll of jute cord that I got from Amazon. It's a very small roll. I might run out probably next week. I'll probably have to get another one. And I'm just gonna take a decent amount, and I'm just wrapping it around the middle of the jar. There's no reason to get fancy. I'm not tying a bow. I'm just making this very rustic, very cabiny, very, very happy. And now we've got more of those same picks we used in the first DIY. They are eucalyptus picks from Amazon, and I love them. They have a very they have a movement to them that makes me happy. So I can't help it but say, yes, give me. And then this is some leftover daisies I had from a Valentine's project that I did on some hearts. So I just took the pinkish peach colors and then that little yellowy gold color, and I just layered them in. I cut them all apart, and I literally just glued them in a random pattern. I literally did not take note of what color I was grabbing at what time. I just made it so random that it doesn't matter. And then I cut some a little bit too short, so I had to get my stash of sticks that I save because I am a craft hoarder, and make the stems a little bit longer so they would kind of have more height in the middle, because again, I cut them too short. So that's why I keep some of my stuff off to the side. I will save them off of some bushes. If you're done with a bush, I will snip off the wire parts of the stems that are left over, because it does come in handy at some time. I don't do it all the time, but I do it with a lot of things. And then also just now here I had to add 2 more of the stems of eucalyptus just to get it to kind of make my eyes happy. And again, it's just a small little random little tabletop floral vase container. Nothing that really is anything to write home about. Just something that made me happy. Something that got me the ability to use that moss again. That's really what it was. It's just an excuse to use the moss again on something. And also I'm recycling a piece of glass that would have normally went to the recycle yard or into the trash. That's one of those. It's another win on that part. So I got to recycle the jar, and then I got to use some of my stash of flowers, and I got to use the paste. So much fun. So tell me what you think. We could probably put some other types of ribbon on here, or even get a grouping of 3. So if you really like to eat certain things with the same kind of jars, get 3 jars together, put them in a little vase or like a little basket or something. But in any event, I was just looking for an excuse to use more paste. That's really all it is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna be completely honest. I wanted to use paste. What do you guys think? I love the way it looks. I love the 3D effect of it. You are probably going to see me use this in many more projects, along with the stamp set from IOD. And I have a full little packet there of those rub-on transfers. So again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So we also have, for the next couple of videos, I have the mercantile stamp, and I've got a couple of the molds. You're going to see me use those. And again, there's a lot to do. Just make sure you check out miltonstarter.com. That's where I get all my IOD and DIY stuff. It's a great place. There's a link in my description. Take a look, see what applies with the discount code. Not everything will apply, but there is an incentive program for repeat business. So just take a peek at it. The stuff that came out just now is absolutely wonderful. And that's it for today. So I only have the 3 things in this video, but it was a lot of fun doing it. I have a coffee page. If you like what you see, if you learned something from me and you feel you need to, you can drop me a donation. It helps me maintain my channel. And then also I'm selling my DIYs there because I really need to declutter. So please help me with that if you can. And then with all that being said, guys, you are my fuel. I love every single one of you more than I could possibly say in words. Thank you so much. And many hugs, happy crafting. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.